Foster Car Finance, proud sponsors of the Hawaii Famalam podcast. Haha, it's right, lad.
Everyone, this is our podcast, How Are We Famalam, with me, John May, and Jazza Dickens. Today we have Jamie Webster.
What's happening, boys? Thanks very much for having me on.
How are we, Famalam?
How are we, Famalam?
How are we, boys?
You know, we're trying to get this little saying going.
How are we, Famalam?
How are we, Famalam?
How are we, Famalam? I didn't know whether I was included in it or not, you know what I mean? I'm there yet, but if I'm in the cliff, I'm in the cliff now, aren't I?
Right, well, you're in the cliff.
No, good. Just trying to crack on, you know what I mean? Waiting for the green light for activities to start again, really, you know what I mean? Musical activities and live events and stuff. Ease me way back into the real world again, you know what I mean? It's been a long break, been nice in some parts, not so nice in others, but ready to move forward now, like.
Yeah, so it's been a killer, the hour lockdown, hasn't it? But I mean, for live performers, it's...
Yeah, for live performance, I've been lucky, I've done all right leading up to the lockdown, and then I had the album sort of in the middle to the end of the fit, whatever it is, you know, I just class it all as lockdown, that period, and we went back doing what we normally do, so the album sort of saved me, and the fact that I could put so much effort and like momentum into promoting the album, that gave me something to focus on, and it sort of kept me engaged with my fans. But for other musicians, like in the industry, it's been hard. It's been really hard for
I wonder, you know, I think live performers, like musicians, they like make their money out of live performances nowadays more than anything, don't they? I wonder if during lockdown, I wonder if people sold more albums now. Do you reckon? No?
Maybe if you were promoting a campaign, do you know what I mean? And like, you know, they were saying, oh, you know, get behind it, buy the album, then yeah, people will have. But in general, when's the last time you bought an album? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Included, you just go on Spotify, don't you? So
you
might have picked up a few more streams because people will listen to more music, but you get like 0.0004 pence a play off Spotify, so it's not like if they might have picked up a couple of hundred more streams a month, but it's
not
probably
mega.
about £4 worth of, you know what I mean?
So now, Jay, does that mean that the world of the podcast and you get more publicity but you get less?
Yeah, compared to years gone by, because if you wanted to listen to a record years ago, you'd have to go and buy it. Do you know what I mean? Unless you had like LimeWire or something like that. You know what I mean? I remember that. Yeah. But they used to have all sorts of stuff on there, didn't they? But that was like that was how basically even like mediocre sort of semi-famous bands made a lot of money. Because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like because like the likes of Beyonce and all that, they didn't used to do concerts as much as they do now. Because the music's just so available, isn't it? But also I was thinking, I wonder if you'd have sold more. But anyway. So were artists making off LimeWire years ago, really?
I don't think they make off LimeWire. I think that's why it was illegal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why people are performing more now.
Do you remember
concerts?
We all went to the BBM the BBM days, and it was Tubity. Do you remember Tubity?
No, I was never in the BBM fan.
Neither was I, you know.
Never ever.
What was it? What was your BBM called? BBM pin?
What's your pin?
I was never into that.
Yeah, what's your pin? Yeah.
Never into that tomfoolery.
I always remember me mate. What was this bird? Was she on Hollyoaks or something like that? We went to match somewhere and there was like a bird off Hollyoaks in one of the bars, so wherever we were going. And he was talking to her and like he thought he was like...
He was there?
Yeah, and he was like saying, I'm in here, you know, I'm gonna put it on her before we get off and that. And like he was like, sat there at the table and he was like, yeah, what's your BBM pin, girl? And she was like, I've got an iPhone, sorry. Just walked away, do you know what I mean? But,
what's your Snapchat code, girl?
So Snapchat's today's BBM, really, then, isn't it? Is it?
Snapchat, mate. It's dodgy Snapchat.
Yeah, I had it when it first sort of come about, but I haven't had it for years.
Only dodgy people have said Snapchat.
Yeah, only dodgy.
We start speaking to a bird, Snapchat,
imagine in the 90s though having to phone someone's house. Is your daughter in?
Yeah, I know. It's completely... It's opened the game up in that respect, hasn't it, for young lads around the 16, do you know what I mean? Where it's not like having to climb through windows or hope that they were down the boozer or something like that, you know what I mean? It's definitely changed in that respect. My brother's 16 now and he's always on Snapchat, you know what I mean? Yeah. House party was a thing as well, wearing it over lockdown and stuff like that.
House party?
Yeah, it's like... house party.
Yeah, do you remember that? That was like big at the start of lockdown, wasn't it?
But the funny thing was, you could just, if you had a mate on it and he was in a conversation with someone who you didn't know, you could just join the conversation and like
see what they say.
Like one of my mates was talking to a bird and like we didn't know that he was seeing this, you know, this bit, but we sort of knew who the girl was, and you know, but he didn't know that we could see that they were in a conversation together. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause we practiced it. So they were like,
can't you not?
they weren't doing nothing like inconspicuous. They were just probably flirting on, you know what I mean, having a chat to each other. But two of the lads just like all of a sudden they just went dun, and two of the lads' faces popped. You see what you know? You know what I mean? It's just like,
Oh, no way.
so it's mad nowadays, all the stuff that's going on. It's a bit. I'm 26, but I feel old now because I've got a brother who's 10 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
So I'm looking at him now and I'm thinking, like when I was your age and that, you know what I mean? It doesn't seem that long ago, but it is. And like all the stuff that they do now, it's just like his sort of 14 to 16 was completely different to my 14 to 16. Do you know what I mean?
Is it a good thing or a bad thing, Jay? What do you think?
I don't know. I think it can be a good thing because, like, you know, when we were kids, we used to just go out on the street and, like, you know, you get a couple of crates or like a bottle of vodka, 5 vodka, and you know what I mean, mix it with a Lucozade, and that'd be you for the Friday nights. But you like, a lot of people used to go on the street, so there was a lot of trouble, you know, if you go to like certain parks and stuff like that, and like it
But
was.
at the same time, you were out though. It's like, I remember when I was a kid, the highlight was like bombing night. I loved bombing night, collecting bombing. But you won't see a kid doing that now.
No.
Or, like,
Missy night.
Yeah.
The Missy night turned into Missy week, didn't it?
Yeah, but like I think Missy nights like now, like because kids haven't had that, like I think because kids don't have that like sort of escapism that we had, I reckon, you know what I mean? I think that's what it was. It was escapism, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because kids don't have that today. Like they go out on me, like you go to like even I'm from like Crocky, West Derby ways, me, right? So you go round West Derby village, which is a nice little area, to be fair, do you know what I mean? You go round the village and you'd see cars egged. You'd see the windows egged and stuff like that. You might see the odd potted window, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like this year, because kids don't go out all the time and stuff like that and get up to shit that they shouldn't do, like as young kids, they go out on Mizzy night. There's one night a year.
I
and
go
like,
out on Mizzy night myself.
but there was cars in West Derby Village this year flipped on the side.
Really?
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I was like, that's a bit. You know what I mean? For me, I mean, I know obviously everyone's different, like, and people have done it differently, but for me, it was just throwing eggs at windows and throwing flowers and eggs on car doors so they couldn't open them and stuff like that, you know what I
I'm
mean?
thinking how many kids it takes to flip a car.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm thinking. Like, either these kids, well, there's like 25-year-olds.
Maybe the kids are getting stronger
it's
these days.
Yeah, maybe. But no, it is definitely different, but at the same time, they're like, they live in the, like, our kid lives in, like, he lives in his own little world and he loves it, you know what I mean? And like, I wouldn't want to take him away from that world because he's does, like, he's not worried about anything. He's not like, you know what I mean? He's not alert to the things that like we were alert to when.
I know, but isn't it a shame that they're not? I've got 3 little girls, right? And when they come to mine on the weekends, Holly runs that way, Daisy runs that way, and Emily runs that way. They just get their own little spots and they just go on their devices. And I'm like, watch a film with me. And he won't. They're just content, which is a shame, really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think nowadays that's something that, like, it's weird, like, but I think people tend to like get closer to the parents as they get older nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, rather than like, I think when you're a kid up to you're about 5, 6, 7, you're very attached to your parents, and your mum and dad are like, you know, the biggest people in the world, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? But then, like, I think probably once you get between even it gets younger, I think, you know what I mean? It used to be like 13, 14, but like now, because of what kids do, because they sit there and they watch telly, they watch stuff on it, they look at Instagram, you know what I mean? Most kids under the age of 12 have got iPhones now.
Yeah, boundaries are just gone, aren't they? What age is a kid allowed a phone now?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think it's once that they grow up a little bit then, and then they realise that, like, you know, even probably through the things that they're watching.
Yeah, you're right, actually.
And they look at, like, say a relationship between 2 characters that are like a mum and son, or a father and son, or a mum and daughter, whatever, and they see that and it makes them think, oh, you know what I mean, I haven't had that with my, and then you know what I mean, the older they get, because it's only like partly because of myself as well, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm realising now, getting to 26, how important it is to like have a good relationship with my mum and dad. And like, we've always had a great relationship. They've always worked really hard to give me everything I've wanted, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm one of these kids who's been dragged up and I haven't had fuck all, because I have, do you know what I mean? And I'm very thankful for that. But you know, as once you, like, you know, you turn 11, 12, you're out on the streets with people who aren't as fortunate as you, you know, and their mindset, their attitude is different, and you sort of adopt that mindset as a young rebellious, you know, young adult, you know what I mean? And it's as you get older,
you appreciate
you
it.
go, well, do you know what? I wasn't like him. Do you know what I mean? Like,
of course,
I'm, you know, and it's important. Like, I think it's massively important for me now to, you know, to be in touch with me, man. But I've only realised that like the past few years. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think when you want, because everything is so self-indulgent these days. Do you know what I mean? And it's not anyone's fault. It's just the channels that are sort of pushed you. That's why I think you are so self-indulgent, and it is a lot of me until you reach a certain age and you think, well, no, there's more to life than like just what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that goes on by seeing other perspectives, or that's just the way we are anyway? We have to we look after ourselves first and foremost.
I don't know. I think as a youngster, because like if you've got the luxury of having like a loving family, they are all about you. And you know, when you're a little, like I've got a little nephew now who's, you know, I've only got to look back when Craig was a baby and even when I was little, but my nephew now, you know, he's the only one sort of in my bird's family, and like everything is about him. Do you know what I mean? Like everything is in. You know what I mean? It's whatever he wants, whatever he needs, and he probably won't change until like, you know, a few more kids start like cropping up and stuff like that you realise that it's not. But I think if, you know, to some people who are 50 years of age, who are probably some of the most selfish people in the world, you know, people who are running this fucking country. Do you know what I mean? But so I think it's about like what sort of circles you move into as a young adult, and like the people you meet and the perspective you gain like growing up.
The circles that you mentioned there, Jay, for me, music was never big. Where I came from, it was football or boxing. That's where I came from. But for you, was your circle based around music? No, not really. It was very much football. Do you know what I mean? It was boxing. I always wanted to be a boxer. To be honest with you, I always wanted to do boxing because I could never fight my way out of a wet paper bag. Do you know what I mean? Anytime I had a bit of trouble on the playground in school or something like that, I wasn't the toughest of people. Like, I'd have a go, but. And like my mum always used to say, no, I don't want you to do boxing because, like, you know, just like, you don't need to do boxing, you know what I mean? You know, I don't want, she'd never ever let me dad take me to boxing or nothing, but I was massive on footy, lived and breathed football, you know what I mean? There's only once, my mum always wanted me to play an instrument. She always said it to me, like, you know, like, because she sort of like tried to take up learning at a certain age, and she reckons like she never ever went on with it because she didn't have the motivation and whatever to do so, and it was her biggest regret. So she always wanted me, my sister and my brother to play.
What age did you start playing?
So she got me like guitar lessons, like probably around the age of 8.
Yeah.
About 7 or 8, but I fucking hated it. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to go and play footy in the street. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't want any. I used to, I mean, when I was like 11, 12, 13, I listened to the pleasure rooms and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? That was like me ma and dad. Well, mainly my mum. My mum had a massive taste in music. She loved like everything from like David Bowie down to like, you know, your modern day bands. Do you know what I mean? She's had an ear for like guitar music and stuff like that. Like Genesis and Phil Collins was her thing, but like she listened to a lot of stuff, and she was really like probably where that ear subconsciously came from, do you know, for music.
Did she play an instrument in that?
She played guitar a little bit, but not like, if you give her a guitar now, I don't reckon, you know, she'd probably be able to play because it was so long ago, and she never ever like at the opposite. She just like worked as soon as she sort of left school and stuff like that. She never really took the time to.
Was there a moment where you went, hang about?
Yeah, well, I reckon I stopped when I was about 10, 11. Like when I went to secondary school, I was like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I don't like it, you know what I mean? I don't even listen to the music that I'm trying to play.
Yeah.
And so I went to secondary school and like loved footy and everything else. And then one of my mates, just like, he was never really into football, but he was always like my best mate. And he had like a bit of a, like, something happens. I'm not really going to go into it because I know he wouldn't want me to. Something happens, you know, with his life, and it brought me a lot closer to him. And he, like, his family, like, music mad, do you know what I mean? Like, loved it. And he listened to loads of Bosch, like, upcoming music, and like Kings of Leon. I listened to them like 3 years before Sex on Fire, and I didn't even know what music was then. This was like when, and he'd play me like Oasis records and Beatles and stuff like that, and that was where like I started to think, like, no, this is cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then I remember picking my guitar back up and remembering like the last sort of things.
Like the music you were sort of introduced to early on, didn't really like inspire you that much,
Well,
but the later stuff you made you think.
Well, it did. I was singing along in the car to David Bowie at the age of 45, do you know what I mean? And like, I'd always loved them records when I'd heard them in parties and stuff like that, but on the scene that I was knocking around in, the Pleasure Rooms, 50 Cent, all that sort of stuff, that was what was going on. I'm talking primary school, like early secondary school here, do you know what I mean? I was a kid. So when I turned about 13, 14 then, I developed this ear for like, you know, music, and I picked up the guitar and just like remembered little bits of chords and just decided to teach myself chords.
At what point, Jay, did you say, I'm good at this, I've got something here?
It was when my mum and dad walked past the bedroom and I'd started singing and playing the guitar, and my mum had always said to me when I was a kid, I always remember saying like, I want you to play Mrs. Robinson one day, do you know what I mean? I loved that song and all that. It wasn't Mrs. Robinson that I was playing because it was too hard for me to learn at the moment in time. You know, it was like, I think it was like I'm Out of Time by Oasis off like their last album that they ever released.
Right.
And I was sat there playing it, and it was just like sort of one strum and singing, do you know what I mean? And then my mum and dad opened the door and were like,
oh yeah,
like, are you singing then, you know what I mean? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, it's good that, you know, like, do you know what I mean? You should like keep going with it. And like, so then they were like, do you know any more? So we started playing a couple of songs that I'd learned, and then just started learning like obviously you listen to more music, you're like, I want to learn that, and then just sing it. And then someone told me, I was like, me singing, I used to want to sound like Liam Gallagher. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, like that, you know what I mean? And then I finally got the courage to play them to a couple of my mates. And they were like, yeah, that's fucking sound, that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
and that just started to fill your confidence up a bit.
I knew that like these sort of people would tell me if I was shite, you know what I mean? Because like, even now, like, you know what I mean? Like, that like, me mates bring me down to earth with a tud, you know what I mean?
So it was like your mum made up, he's like, finally,
he's
on it now, he's on it.
Yeah.
When your mum and dad said to you, you've got something there, did you believe them, or was it like, I know I am, or was it like, no, mate?
There was a feeling inside me when I'm singing, I was thinking, this doesn't sound too bad, this, do you know what I mean? It didn't sound great, but it didn't sound too bad. And then just like, I just remember like really working at it and singing more, and like just like one of my good mates, the lad, funny enough, he plays guitar in all my live stuff now. He's a session musician, he plays for loads of bands and artists and stuff like that. He's a top guitarist, and he was a help as well in school because I went to school with him, and he was really good from a young age, do you know what I mean? So if I was ever stuck on stuff, I used to ask him in school, and like he'd show me at dinner time or whatever, or if we had music, like as one of the lessons, like he'd pick up, you know, whatever. And he was always like, I always wanted to like play music with him, but he was always sort of too good, do you know, like to play with me. I was like, so the more I sort of practiced, I just remember like me mates at the time, my two best mates, like remember Guitar Hero and Rock Band had come out. They were playing that, and they were like, well, you know, my mate was good at the drums on Rock Band, so he was like, I'll learn the drums, and then my other mate was like, I'll learn the bass. And I got another lad out of our school to play guitar. We started a little band.
So they got inspired to go and learn an instrument off playing.
Probably sat there listening to me play with them, you know, when we were sat there, and they always liked music, them two lads anyway, to be fair. And just like, I just think like Rock Band and stuff like that, and like the Thriller was.
That's what I mean, like playing Rock Band, I think, you know what, I'm actually going to go learn the drums here. Yeah, that's what I mean, with his boss, innit?
Yeah, we'd sit in me mate's bedroom, like, do you know what I mean? Like, me on the guitar thing, do you know what I mean? And one of them on the bass and one on the drums, and we just like, you felt, you know what I mean? Feel like we were like playing an actual little gig, do you know what I mean? Like,
so it started to turn up into a passion at this point now, hasn't it?
Yeah, it was like that. I started just getting hooked on music, like, and to be honest, like the football, like it was always there, but...
Speak of the devil, then.
It's rock and roll for you, never sleeps, but yeah, no, that was like sort of how I got into it, just like really...
So what happened then? Did you start like performing live?
Where was the first place that you used to go down and play?
Yeah, I think the first ever gig I done was we were all on holiday. Loads of us, about 40 of us. Yeah. And like I bought a guitar for like 30 quid off like.
While you were there?
Yeah, one of the lucky men or something like that, you know what I mean? Just to play while I was there, and then we all had a barbecue. We had like a night in one, like, you know what I mean? Like, just like stayed by the pool, basically, all that barbecues and stuff like that. It was like all the family friends would all flew to the same. It's not how it goes, you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just like, go on, Dad, you know, you've been playing the guitar, go on, I heard you the other day, and, you know, so I played. I remember playing to like 40 people played. Yeah. Like, wow. Like only all my family and that, it was dead. Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm into this. And then started like practicing with the band and stuff like that. And then the first gig, it wasn't the Cavern Club.
So sorry, that was the first taste of playing in front of people?
Yeah. It was
Did you get a
like,
buzz out of that?
Yeah, it was boss, because like, especially when people were singing along to it, songs and that, you know what I mean? But to be honest, it was probably about 15 Oasis songs that I played because that was like, they were the easiest songs to learn back as a kid and whatever. But no, that's where I sort of started to think. That was probably about 14, 15 then, you know what I mean? And I was like, I can do this, do you know what I mean? And then we started a little band. We were shy, like, we were terrible, do you know what I mean? But we were having a go and we were living it for like a few months, do you know what I mean? And played like as a band. The first gig was in the Cabin Club, not the Cavern Club. Remember the Cabin opposite the band?
Yeah.
We used to know a few lads who played gigs in there, so they got us on one night and we played in there loads, like mainly mates who turned up and that, you know what I mean? Like people from my dad's work and shit like that. And then but at the time, like we were doing all right, and then thing is with bands at that age, like you're all listening to different music. Do you know what I mean? You're like 16, like your musical sort of horizons are changing, and like I was listening to like Oasis, the Stone Roses, Beatles, the Jam, stuff like that. But then the bass player was listening to Muse and Red Hot Chili Peppers and stuff like that. The drummer was...
So there was a clash of sorts of like...
Everyone was listening to different things.
Was that a clash, or did that sort of like make a combination?
No,
or it was a big clash?
It was a big clash. Like I couldn't hear myself sing.
Yeah.
Like some of the times, it was not... Like, no one was like playing badly. We were just all had
attitude.
You're just into different things.
Yeah, just kids like learning how... We didn't even, you know what I mean? We didn't even know how to play our instruments properly back then. Well, one of us did, the guitarist from our school, but the three of us who started it, we were still very much learning the ropes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just like it was you know, when you're doing something and you feel like this has lost its legs. Do you know what I mean? And you know that the asses fell out of it. And like I was like sort of trying to put gigs together and like rehearsals, and just couldn't ever. No one wanted to be like, we could never get everyone in the same room at the same time. People were off doing it. We were young, we were 16 at the time, so we just like called it a day. And at that time as well, I was sort of myself falling into going to match, because I'd started working as an apprentice spark. I had a bit of cash in my pocket, so I could afford to go to the away games. Yeah. With a load of lads that I knew who went. And
so someone else has took your interest now, innit?
I'm going to match with 50 lads every week who, you know, between the ages of probably 40 and 14. Do you know what I mean? So I'm into a new world. I'm like growing up in it. So we just called it a day, but I really loved the music, so I still played like open mic nights and acoustic gigs Friday nights in town and that, you know, for like where I could. I go do a little audition somewhere where I'd see the band.
Did you prefer it on your own? Did you feel like you had a bit more? Because you said before you were chasing around trying to get these and trying to get that.
It was a lot easier. I didn't have to rely on anyone. I wasn't writing my own music. Like you know, I wasn't playing my own songs. Because when we were in the band, we were playing our own songs. I was writing songs, and we were all writing songs as a band. And like, but like, what I really enjoyed was, like, when I was playing covers in bars, everyone was singing along because they all knew the words and that. Yeah. So that was like, I needed that anyway, because like some of the crowds got really rowdy, especially like Matthew Street Weekend and stuff like that, when you're playing Beatles covers, or you know what I mean, everyone's bladdered at 10 o'clock then, you know what I mean, you've all been to the stages to filter it into the bars. I was like 17, 18, entertaining all these people, like fucking, it was bossed out, you know what I mean, it was a really good like apprenticeship in the music world, you know what I mean, it was like, I learned how to, I played in some fucking rough boozers as well, do you know what I mean, so like, I've been playing in a boozer, and like a girl, like it was about 15 people in there on like a Friday night, you know what I mean, like sort of like dead end, and like this like these lads, you know what I mean, the lads were actually quite sound, you know what I mean, but like they were lads from down there, you know what I mean, they were up to no good, to say the least, and they were sort of like, this is our boozer sort of thing, you know what I mean, like you got that vibe when you walked in there. And anyway, this girl's fucking with them, dead brassy, dead lads. Oh, I don't know if I'm being fucking doing my head, you know, I could hear it. And I'm like, fucking hell, you know what I mean? I haven't asked to come and play for it. I've been asked to come, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honest to God, she made a beeline, like the toilets were behind me over there. She made a proper beeline, but like, when people were on the toilets, they were walking down the side, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She walked like...
You told her we are.
I thought it is. I was the song, and she just went, you're fucking shit. I was like... just carried on singing, and I was like, oh,
no dry mouth, didn't
it was like only like 10 minutes into it, you know what I mean, like 15 minutes in, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, you know what I mean? Like, what you... And I just thought...
What you do in that situation?
Kept playing, keep singing, smiling.
No, but that teaches that's a lesson, innit? That's teaches you.
Yeah, there is, though.
Crack on.
Yeah, but like, when we were in a band, we done a gig once as well in Ship and Forecast, and we were support. It was through like a promoter at the time, and like they just used to like have bands who, you know, we were semi-big sort of breaking, playing in like these venues in the city, and this band were from like South Wales or something, and they'd sold like fucking 8 tickets. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he would said, oh yeah, you support them. And it used to be like, if you sell more than 30 tickets, you get £1 for each ticket you sell. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like if we'd sold 50 tickets and there was 5 of us in the band, we'd have a tenner each at the end of the day. Buzzing with it, you know what I mean? And but anyway, this band had sold like 8 people, and there was like an hour break between us and them coming on. So like it was a Wednesday night, £8 a ticket. We were fucking 16. None of our mates were going to come down and see us. Do you know, especially when we played tunes they didn't.
Should have got on your BBM.
Do you remember who you sold your first ticket to? I remember. I'll never forget it. I saw mine too.
It never. No, it was probably family. It was probably my mum and dad, to tell you the truth, because they were at like nearly every gig. But this one particular gig, my mum and dad couldn't come, and we literally played with a full sound system to no. Really? And the bass player's Ma turned up 3/4 of the way through the set and was the only one in the room. And it was like...
That's interesting, that, because that could knock you big time, couldn't it?
Yeah.
How do you feel going back home, Jay? Do you say, I've got to make this work? Or what's your mentality, how's your mindset say when you come back after this rejection, when this girl's saying your shit?
Nah, it was just like... Back then it was playing covers and that, but the funny thing was at the end of that gig, a fella come in and was like, do you know any Pink Floyd, lad? Do you know what I mean? And that's like a good... Like, when you're in a boozer like that, you've always got to shout with Pink Floyd, because a lot of fucking scallies used to love getting on trips to Pink Floyd years ago and stuff like that. And a lot of, you know, it's still seen as a cool thing in Liverpool, Pink Floyd, no matter, you know what I mean? Do you know any Floyd, lads? So I was like, yeah, man, played like 2 Floyd tunes on it. I was like, this kid, do you know, you got it? Do you know any Oasis, lad? Do you know what I mean? So I was playing. And then he proper got into me then. And then he turned to his beard at the end of the gig and went, he's fucking bossing me. But like, and I was just like, and at the end of the gig, he was like, crack at that, lad. And she was like, oh yeah, well done. And I was saying, fuck off. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was so like you take the rough with the smooth. Yeah. Like I used to try and adopt me working life into that. You know what I mean? Because like you'd have a day in work sparking where you'd be there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6, half 6 at night, and then getting stuck in traffic on the way home from Manny, whatever. But then you'd have a day where you get there for 9:30, you'd be done for 11, of course, and you'd still get your day. Do you know what I mean? So like it's rough with the smooth, and I always take that. That's my sort of. Yeah. That's how you've got it.
No, but it is interesting to see people who've been successful, like, because they do take knocks. Yeah. And like, you know, what spares them to carry on, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but people think it happens overnight. And
of course,
you know what I mean?
Can you be successful without taking these knocks?
No, you can't. I don't think you can. Yeah, but it's just a collection of failures, isn't it?
Unless your talent is like undeniable, and it's like, you know, like someone just walks in and you're just like, wow, you've got it. You know what I mean? And it's like undeniable, and like there is people who from a young age have just hit the big time, and they are the very, very chosen few. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Can they sustain it without these lessons?
No, you've got to learn as you go. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You can't just rely on your talents alone. You've got to learn, because, like, as we all know, in our own industries, talent doesn't just get you where you are. You know what I mean? You've got to work at it. You've got to market yourself. You've got to promote yourself. You've got to do so many things that you didn't realise that you had to do until you stepped into that world. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's like that's just life, isn't it? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, but. So these setbacks, I didn't see them as setbacks, do you know what I mean? It was just like, it was a bit of a stinker, that one, you know what I mean? On to the next one.
You are one of the lads, say, so how do you feel when people don't give you the credit that you deserve? Does this happen? I don't know, no, but like, do you work at it because you're so much one of the lads? You would just think that you're specially talented in that, without the hard work, I don't know.
No, to be honest, I don't really, when it comes to people's judgments, if they don't like me because they don't like what I'm doing or how I carry myself, then that's up to them, you know what I mean? Because I am who I am, do you know what I mean? Yeah. I wouldn't, you can polish a piece of shit all you want, can't you? But it's still a piece of shit.
I think it's amazing the way you like, even the way you keep your accent in your singing.
But that's the identity, innit? That's what makes it work.
That worked for the Beatles, like, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, years ago, like, but it's not like, I don't try and force it.
Yeah, let me tell you, so when I started acting, someone come up to me and went, "We need to get rid of that accent." And I, what do you mean? So if you want to be an actor, I said, fuck off now. I said, if anything, Scouse is my strength. So if I go into an audition now, I welly the Scouse up a little bit. Because that's my fucking strength, and I think that works for the likes of yourself.
Yeah, it does. It's who you are. You've got to be the best version of you that you can be, and you are, you know, like...
Do you know if you're ever in front of all these Scousers, Jay, do you put the accent on? Could you do that more? Because or...
Yeah, I mean, like, I suppose sometimes when you're singing, you do fall into, like a just sort of melodic accent, which is just like... like a, I don't know, your singing voice, like as if you were singing along to a tune, you know what I mean? If you're singing along to... So Sally Can Wait, you don't sit there and go, so Sally, you sing it like you hear it, you know what I mean? But I think maybe, if I know that like the crowd is a particularly Scouse crowd, I'll, you know what I mean, I'll up here, I'll swear a little bit more, do you know what I mean? I'll be a bit more of one of the lads. I think it's just one of the most important things that I keep talking about. My mum, but my man always taught me was you'd always rise to your audience, do you know what I mean? You can be yourself, you can be one of the lads, but you know, like the thing is with me, I could sit here with you and we can be the lads all you want. But then if someone comes in who's not really come from our background and you've never really lived that or talked the way we have and stuff like that, it's not like you shouldn't be like, well, I'm still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You should try and accommodate them because it's not their fault, you know what I mean? So like, I could sit in a room like through some of the places I've been with Liverpool, do you know what I mean? Like I've been in company of people who've got really quite high profile jobs, do you know what I mean? Who work for massive companies and like I've been done a lot of corporate dinners and stuff like that, and I can entertain.
That we all do that. It's like
that's a skill though, and it's not able to adapt.
But it's not like I'm not changing the person who I am.
No,
I'm still myself, but I'm just toning down the Scouts a little bit because they don't understand it. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, you couldn't have a conversation with them. But I'm still being like myself 100%, but it's just like you just got to know who you're in front of. Really.
So what with obviously you love football and you love music. When did that sort of like entwine? When did that become?
So it was through that sort of phase, like I was just sort of going into there, where it was like I was going to match with a load of lads on the coach, and I was singing in boozers on a Friday night and stuff. But at first, like I was a bit shy about like the match lads finding out about me singing.
It's like a clash of two worlds.
Well, no, because I didn't know what. Because like the first time I ever walked on that coach, it was intimidating as anything. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a scene to like not that like it's the be all end all, you know what I mean? But there is like a scene, and like people like the coach, people like the trainees, people like to have a bit of money in the pocket, people like to do what they do when they get on the coaches to you know what I mean?
That's its own little culture.
Yeah, it's like its own little culture.
Yeah,
it is, and it's like it's got a hard. The best way to describe it, it's got the hardest outside shell you will ever sort of see. You know, from a distance, but once you walk inside it, and break the walls of the shell, it's the most welcome and warm place. You know, in the world.
That's the boss way to describe it.
Was that a buzz for you, Jay, to be accepted into this?
Yeah. Well, it was something that I was like, I wanted to be one of the. I was always like one of the lads with me group of mates, but you know, like obviously I'd still go out with the lads as well of a weekend and of a night time stuff. Go on a match. This was like a different world to me, and I was infatuated by it. You know what I mean? And so I was like, and everyone seemed like a bit of a lad, even though they weren't, you know what I mean? It was just, they just seemed that way to me as a young lad going onto this coach. And a lot of people are a lot older, and there was just like, but no one, it seemed like when I walked onto the coach, it didn't seem like age was a distinction, do you know what I mean? It was like everyone was just sort of mates, it was weird. And so I was a bit like, don't be saying, like, to me, like, don't be saying nothing about, nothing. I didn't want them thinking, like, who's this little Justin Bieber or something like that, you know what I mean? Like, that was like my mentality towards it at first. I was a little bit shy towards it, I suppose, because that was, to me, that was like, I always thought that was like my little thing on the side that was just...
It just goes to show, though, doesn't it? That one thing that you wanted to hide was the one thing that made you boom. Yeah, do you know what I mean? With these people.
Yeah, no, it was. And then, but don't be wrong, I did keep it quiet for a few weeks, and I, you know, sort of let myself do the talking first as well. Like, you know, like I was just made a lot of... I'm quite a friendly person. I like to think, you know what I mean? So I made a lot of mates quickly, young and old, from doctors to teachers to drug dealers. Do you know what I mean? I mixed with all of them, and it was like those are some of the best years of my life looking back at it. But so sort of a few weeks passed by, and then one of the lads was like, I knew it was inevitable, and then the next thing it was like, aye lad, what the fuck's this? Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, what are you fucking singing? And I was like, oh, you know what I mean? I was feeling inside me palpitations, and everyone was like, oh shit. And they were like, remember, like, the lad's looking at him, and he's like 3 big lads, sort of skinheads, you know, like sort of, not skinheads by like nature, but like just...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Big, burly men, yeah.
Scary
Big
sort of
goosebumps.
intimidating figures, do you know what I mean? Like, before I really got to know them. So, you know, 2 of those people are 2 of my best mates now, do you know what I mean? But this is like 10 years ago nearly, and they're like, oh, that's fucking brilliant. And I was like, hey, have you seen this? Do you know what I mean? And then like, it was like, a few more, like, as the day got on, more people off the boat saying, fucking hell, like, it's good that video, they're only playing an Oasis song or something like that. And they're like, when are you next playing? I was like, yeah, like, next Friday night. And do you remember the Head of Steam by Lime Street?
Yeah.
He was in there, and they were like, yeah, we'll come down there. So it's like 40 people come down, and I was like, hell.
What were you like when he walked in?
And I was shit myself.
Was this your biggest crowd at this point?
No, I played in there to the Matthew Street thing, do you know what I mean? And that was like a little, but like to people who I sort of knew and wanted to impress.
Yeah, you want to be accepted
it was
by.
More like, it was a more daunting thing, do you know what I mean?
Go ahead,
Because it matters what you think now, doesn't it?
Yeah. But like, and like, as you'd probably expect, they come in with the loudest group of people in the booze, do you know what I mean? Like, fucking laughing, you know, fucking spilling, throwing crisps at each other, just being knobheads, do you know what I mean? But having a laugh, having a good time, not hurting anyone, do you know what I mean? Just being loud and probably a little bit intimidating. Like, that's how I felt, you know what I mean? And I was sat in the corner tuning my guitar up and then played, and they were just like, fucking hell, like,
loved it.
That was brilliant, you know, they're all singing along to songs and that, got the they brought the atmosphere to the booze.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they were singing along.
So you'd merged 2 worlds, you'd merged the match with your music.
Yeah, because like all the people who are just there to listen to a bit of live music, you know, when there's 15, 20 people in a room, you're not really inclined to sing along, do you know what I mean? Because it's a bit of a spacious atmosphere. And
that was probably a big deal that night then.
Yeah, it was. You know, me man and dad were there as always as well, and a few of me mates who like went from the match.
Because that's what sort of give you your niche.
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong, I always had the support of me mates who I sort of grew up with, do you know what I mean? They always supported me, of course, but once I moved into this match circle, it was a much bigger circle, and it had much more like word of mouth about it, do you know what I mean? And I was only playing covers. I wasn't playing Liverpool songs and all. I was just literally playing covers of songs, and so that night then all the boozers started like singing along, because these 40 lads who I brought down started singing along, and then I started like, oh, my bird works in a boozer there, you can do it night there, and I started to get more work just like through knowing more people, and then more people coming down to boozers and coming to see me, and it was like a little bit of a people who had sort of maybe had a bit of a mad one with a couple of months earlier were coming up to me and going, do you sing? You know, like, am I hearing this right? You sing? And I'm like, yeah, lad, you know, and like, it's like lads, and you know what I mean, whatever. And then one of the lads said to me, it's this thing, you know, called Boss Night, and they do like, it's just what you do, bands just come down and play their own tunes and like covers, and it's just where we all go after our own games and certain away games on a Sunday, and we just go, it's just somewhere for us to like carry on the day. So, you know, I asked the lad, I know him, he used to come to match with us, you know what I mean? Like, he goes with his own fair now, but older. But, you know, he'll give you a little go, you know what I mean? We see them all the time at the aways, because like, even though that coach of 50 people was my mate, because you're going, there's 12 other coaches of 50 people who do the same thing. So when you're going to Europe and London every weekend and West Brom and you're all stopping and meeting in the same boozers before you go to the ground, you get to know these people, and you see them in the toilets every weekend at half time, you know what I mean? You just like, you know the faces, you know, it's like from similar circuits, you know what I mean? Like that you'll be in, you start...
It's like 12 different vessels in it, you don't major.
Is this building your audience?
This is basically my, without me knowing it, my platform for where I am now. And so like, we got on to the lads at Boss Night, give me a shout, but like, a lot of the younger lads who were sort of going, like the younger sort of scally sort of lads who were going to match it, sort of said, oh yeah, we'll all go down, and it's an Oscars bar. And I remember like, there was like 300 people outside because they couldn't get in, you know, because we only sat small. And I got up and played like 6 songs at the start of the bill.
What did you sing, Jake?
It was like Salisbury Hill was one of them. Yeah. So that's why like I played in me. That was just something that I played, and like the crowd loved. I think Town Called Malice was one of them. Probably Don't Look Back in Anger will have been one of them. Maybe a 14 song or something like that. I was probably, I can't remember the 6 or 7 that I played, but I was probably desperately trying to fit that sort of scene. Do you know what I mean? That I knew people had like Stone Roses. I'll definitely play the Stone Roses song. Do you know what I mean? And like it just went off, and then the next time they were like, listen, you do a bit longer next time, like you go on second instead of going on first. Do you know what I mean? and we're doing it in a bit of a bigger place next time because, you know, all the people you brought down with you was, and then it just started to fucking knock on, and like next thing was like the cult thing at the match to go down, to go to Boss Night and watch Webster and like, but it was still just playing covers. The Liverpool songs hadn't even creeped in.
What's that like, Jay, seeing you're filling a place and then you film the place outside the place and there's people who can't get in, they're still staying there to listen to your music. How did this feel?
It was amazing.
That's early on as well, isn't it? This is early on when this is happening.
Yeah, it was probably 2013, 2014, 2012, something like that. This is when people think that it happened overnight. It didn't, you know what I mean? Because I was there. It always starts from the ground up. But so sort of just went with it, and the crowds were getting bigger, and then Liverpool started to get more successful. So basically, like, I'd play Salisbury Hill, and in that little the crowd would just start singing because we just won football, and that's how it sort of started to creep in. And I remember my mum was saying Mrs. Robinson, so I'd learnt it by that time. I remember playing it.
So when's this 13? When did Klopp come?
He come in 2016. This is Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah.
This is Brendan Rodgers, and
but this is when Liverpool starting to.
We were starting, but at the very start of it, we were shit, and then we started. Then that 13-14 season was when Jordan Henderson all unbelievably started to play. Do you know what I mean? And he, like, the first glimpse of him, and like that Mrs. Robinson turned into "Here's to you, Jordan Henderson." Do you know what I mean? And that made its way from that event to the Cop the next week.
Yeah.
Which I was like, wow, that's mad. Do you know what I mean? And like, it wasn't even like me making it up. It was the crowd singing as I was playing it. Do you know what I mean? And like, that's how it sort of started to come about. Just me playing songs, and then some like pissed.
You're proper in tune with your fans though, aren't you?
You've got to be though. Like, I think, especially from the ground up, and because they weren't me fans. They were like, without making it sound like, you know, very cringy, they were also like, and Braveheart, they were like me people as well. Do you know what I mean? Because they were like, they are sharing so many experiences with these lads on the road every week, going to, like, you know, fulfilling our passion and supporting our football club, and you know, so being proud to, you know, represent our city in other places. You know, be loud, be Liverpool, let everyone hear. You know, like, we really did. Like, at that time, we really did feel part of like a movement rather than just like a group of people who went to match together. Do you know what I mean? So, I wasn't making, you know what I mean? I wasn't making loads of money off it. It was like a couple of, you know, it was like 50 quid here and there, and you know what I mean? I was just doing, that was me. I was spending that money that night after I played, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like for the buzz of it. And that's why I think it went so well, because I was living that life of being like a fanatic Liverpool fan.
This is a boss story. Isn't it that interesting to like listen to, like, no, but it is how that sort of happened, how you got on the coach and you were a bit thingy about it at first, and then it's just that day were your biggest supporters in the end.
No, you couldn't make it up, but you know why you couldn't make it? Because if I had just said to myself, right, I'm gonna stand up one day and start singing like, oh, when the Reds go marching in with a guitar, you know, Scousers, do you know what I mean? Like, you'd be like, who's this fucking Robert? Do you know what I mean? Who is he come from? Never seen him before. Fuck off, lads. Yeah. You don't do that shit here, lads. You know what I mean? And that's how it would have been.
Yeah.
But because I was a face, I was one of the lads. I was, you know what I mean? Yeah. I was knocking around. Like, it was like go on, lad, you go and fucking do that. Yeah. You know what I mean? You could do.
So everyone had your back.
Everyone had me back. It was like the support was unbelievable. I just felt it. You know what I mean? When I was going up, it was amazing, and it was like, you know, it was really, really, really like a good time in my life. Dead simple time.
What was the best moment then? Was like going to Madrid, playing there? Was
that's the penultimate moment, I think, Madrid. But like in the early days, it was probably sound food and drink after we beat Man City 3-2.
Yeah.
We thought we were gonna. We obviously never, because the Chelsea game and Gerrard, you know what I mean? All that, the slip and that come later. So we thought like we just beat Man City 3-2. Yeah. Got like 4 games left. We're winning this league for the first time in 25 years or something.
So everyone was hyped up at this point.
Like, bump, do you know what I mean?
Magic.
Yeah. And we were in sound food and drink, you know, on Duke Street.
I don't know, but
it's only like, it's like a bar / like bistro sort of thing, you know what I mean? At the PA at the back. And like, you know what I mean? There was like 450 heads in there, like in a room probably the size of this. Do you know what I mean? It was fucking, and like there was no tears, but people had made tears. You know what I mean? I was like, how are they up there? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how they were finding things to stand on, but they were on things. And like we were playing, and like it was just literally, you could feel the floor, you could feel like the sweat was dripping from the roof. You know what I mean? And then some fella just fell back through the window onto the street.
Really? Yeah.
And then another 2 went outside windows. Do you know what I mean?
No way, this is boss.
Like, it was just fucking chaos. Do you know what I mean? Like, no other way to describe it. Like, there was hundreds of people outside who couldn't get in with their heads through the broken windows.
There's you just playing away.
And I was just like bouncing. I broke my guitar.
Fucking hell.
Banging my guitar. You know, like to try and get like a foot. And fucking didn't notice, like, you know what I mean? Lost me plex, I was just battering me out. And then, like, the end of the gig came, like, I was like, oh, you know, all wiped. You know, you probably feel. I could only imagine it'd be like after you've had a proper scrap jazz, you know what I mean? I've never had one, but that's probably the closest I've ever come to having a scrap, playing a gig like that. And
the relief after it, like to come down, you feel it.
And you just like, you're high as a kite, but you're like exhausted. And it's like, it is a mad feeling, but loads of euphoria running through you, but like it's mad, isn't it?
Crazy,
you know yourself after a good gig, and
fucking buzz, man.
You know what I mean? It's the buzz, and then like I looked down at my guitar, and my hands were just fucking cut to ribbons there, blood all over it, and there was just a big hole like here at the top of it, and I was like, oh.
It was just all adrenaline, wasn't it?
I must have played like 5-6 songs with this older me guitar. Probably sounded terrible, but like to everyone in the room it didn't, you know what I mean? And like that was like, then like these videos started to emerge on like social media, started to get really big around that time as well, and the club obviously seen things, and then the club asked me to get involved.
What was that like going from a Reds fan to getting brought into the club?
It was amazing. I remember getting like a phone call and a message saying like, you know, someone from LFC TV, we want you to come in the studio and play 19 Liverpool songs for this documentary we're doing on the origin of where the songs come from. It's called Liverpool Sound, a documentary. It's a cracker documentary, actually.
Liverpool Sound?
Yeah, the soundtrack's amazing to it. I fucking thought you would have been a bit quicker there. But anyway, they give me like 20 tunes. I didn't even know all of them to play. I knew the songs, so I was singing them in the ground, but to put them music through them, it was like, so I sort of sat down for a week or so, learned like 20 tunes, do you know what I mean, for this documentary. So it's obviously like someone talking about, you just lost something there.
No?
All the sound's just gone out my headphones.
Is that alright?
1 second.
Hello?
You'll be alright, I think the mic can still pick it up.
Sorry. Anyway, so I'd learned these things, and so it was like someone saying, oh yeah, back in 1962, you used to have a half day off and then go to the match. That's where every other Saturday came from, because it was every other Saturday you'd play at home, you'd do a half day to go to the game. And then you'd have people talking about when they first heard the song, and it was just going like through the years, all the way up to like the Fernando Torres song and shit like that. So then I'd learned like these songs specifically for this documentary, because the box nights had started getting like pubs around Anfield, like the halfway house and that, asking me to
play these songs.
Just play after the match, do you know what I mean? Because they knew I'd draw the crowd, do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. It was more the outskirt boozers that were asking me at first, because all the boozers like that at the ground were rapped anyway, so they weren't asked, do you know what I mean?
At this point, can you still go to the match, or now are you preparing for the people to come in after the match?
I know I could still go to the match back then, like, because it was just the one gig. I'd get there before the match and then set all my stuff up and then go to the match, walk back down, throw the guitar on. But then all of a sudden I'd learned these 20 Liverpool songs, you know what I mean? And it wasn't like I tried to do it. It would never have.
It was a job for you to learn them,
It would never. It was literally a paid bit of work. And I would never have had to do it. It was a blessing in disguise. I would never have thought to do it. Do you know what I mean? Because I would probably thought that's a bit weird, but then I just thought, fucking try it. I'm in the half here. I played here now for a few months. Do you know what I mean?
So it's a safer place to play.
It's a safer place to play. If I know all the regulars in here, all my mates are in here. If I'm out my depth, someone will fucking surely call me out on it. You know what I mean? And I'll be put back in my place within seconds. So started, playing like we love Liverpool. He loved it. You know what I mean? It was just like, and then all the videos get on social media. Next thing the half, he's fucking shockhead the next week. Then I got a boss night 2 weeks later, start playing all these Liverpool songs in amongst a load of covers. That's where it started changing then, from being someone who sings covers to someone who's now playing Liverpool songs. Do you know what I mean?
And that's entwining you with Liverpool now, isn't it?
And then it's like starting to grow, and then Mo Salas, and then Klopp signed loads of songs sort of coming out. I've done a soundtrack for that, for the Klopp documentary.
But he made that culture for the fans even more.
He made the club. He is like solely responsible.
Like, you got buzzed off at first when he used to go to the Cop. he did get beat and he go to the cop and he clapped him.
Yeah.
And it's like people used to buzz off him at first. I know everyone else is doing it now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he brought that thing for the fans.
Exactly.
So that even fueled it even more, I suppose.
That's without a doubt being his biggest resource with Liverpool, is tapping back into the fan base, making the fans feel loved again, making them, because we did, like, I was in that group of people, fans who felt exiled by the club, who felt like he didn't want us there, he wanted day trippers who were going to spend £5 in the club shop before the game, you know what I mean, rather than the local heartbeat who carried the atmosphere for all these years and give the club this atmosphere that they now sell to all these people, do you know what I mean? And like, it was only when Jurgen Klopp come in and the new owners, do you know what I mean, he really started to work towards making us feel part of it again. And that was through, obviously, they weren't soft in, like, bringing someone like me in, you know what I mean, to sort of, like, do what I do now and whatever. And, yeah, so it started to just grow like that. And then, like, Mo Salah came back to load the goals. The Salah song spontaneously happened in one of the boss nights. I was singing Sit Down by James just because I loved the tune. And then he'd scored 4 against Watford that day. And someone just started like, Mo Salah, Mo, no, like that. I was like, hang on a minute. Everyone shut up. Wait there. Yeah, what have you just said? And I go on, louder, yeah, man. Yeah, Egyptian King on the end of their sound. Everyone listen to these 10 people. So we started singing it. Then I went, like, go ahead, go again. The fucking next room, the whole room, I had the videos going everywhere.
Boss.
Then, you know when you're hearing these songs in a ground full of people and you know they're your songs, how does that feel to you?
It felt, the first time,
yeah.
I must admit, it felt boss, but it was driven by my mates. They were all stood there looking at me, waiting for me to smile. And they were just like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm used to it now, obviously, do you know what I mean? But like,
the first time must have been wow.
Amazing. But it was better with the LA, because like, I didn't write the words to LA, like people often think that I did, and like, I've always tried to put it right on every fucking podcast I've done, because it was these really good match-going lads, local lads, who literally, even still today, they like, we sign a new player, they love Liverpool that much, they'll sit there, they'll get a few cans in between the mates, sit in the, you know, in the back room and fucking start like having a laugh and making up soft songs for players and stuff like that. But I didn't really know these kids too well. I knew them well enough, do you know what I mean? And I remember stood there in Porto and he was singing LA, but it was dead slow, and it was like a lot slower, and there was more claps in between there.
Right.
Like, we can't get all the like, it was just a little bit different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't quite, in my opinion, as catchy, but the words were, like, it's like the words are fucking great. There's about 20 of them all buried in Portugal, in the ground, all where I was, you know, watching them. And then the next morning we seen a little video of it, and my mate went, you need to, because I'd sort of slowly started gaining this reputation as this.
Yeah.
You know, and someone went, you need, like, the best way to get, because just looking at comments and people were like, I'm not into it, I'm not sold, you know what I mean? So other people were like, that's great, you know what I mean? So like, me mate went, the only way you can get this on the terrace, lad, is if you play it like you do with like the other songs, you know what I mean? He went, get home, get your guitar, see what you can do with it, try and make it a bit more like, you know, give it a bit more oomph, as they say. And literally, he'd done it. It's like the most easy chord, you know, intro to playing guitar chords, but you get taught.
So these songs that you were asked to learn, you've made one of them happen.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So you're always got like that. You're always going to be part of that legends of Liverpool. Aren't you? You're always going to be. That must make you feel good. That.
No, it was boss. But then the first time I played it, do you know what I mean? It just went fucking. It was like an infection. Do you know what I mean? Once I like sort of made it a bit quicker, give the chorus that thing, and just the one clap in between the verses, everyone went nuts. And well, I didn't even have Instagram or Twitter or nothing at the time, and like apparently everyone was saying it's going all over the Twitter. This, you know, you've had these 1,000 views, and I was saying, is that good? So I don't know, like, I don't have it. But like, and it just that's where it then skyrocketed to, like, you know, doing all the gigs in Europe and going on tour with the club and stuff like that. But that was a fucking, it was like the weirdest route. Because
that's a boss story. That.
How do you feel now, like, going from not having Twitter to now you've got all this attention? How do you feel and how do you deal with it?
I try my best to treat it as business, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Because like, while social media's been great for me, like in terms of promote myself and get my name out there, like it has been for a lot of us, it's also a very dangerous place. I think social media.
Twitter's ruthless, isn't it?
Twitter, everything, because even if people aren't trying to be nasty, the things that people put on, it's never real.
No, it's not.
Especially Instagram, it's like, you know, you could put, like, people, even like the pictures of me, you see a picture of me on stage in Madrid, you think, he's flying around in private jets. Do you know what I mean? He's doing this, he's doing that. Maybe not people with a bit of common sense, but people, to people who live in this Instagram world, that's what they think, and it couldn't be further from reality. And it's like, and that's where it's dangerous. And obviously Twitter, like everyone's a politician, everyone's a boxing coach, everyone's a boxing pundit, everyone's a football pundit, everyone's a life coach, everyone's got the answer to COVID.
I think you've got a boss attitude towards it. Like, I don't know, like I've just said to you, I've just got a nasty comment saying he's an attention seeker and he's a money grabber. I haven't had a penny. But like these people presume these things, don't they? I like when people laugh.
He's asking me, should we go down there, getting a fella's address and all that?
No, but I was like that though, like at first, when you do get the nasty comments for everyone who says, oh, he's a great lad, Jamie, you know what I mean, he's one of us, one of the lads. Or for everyone who says, oh, I love Liverpool, love the stuff he's done. And then, now moving into my own world with my own music, people who are like, oh, I love that. I still get people like, I'm not listening to that fucking red knobhead, I'm not listening to that fucking fake Jerry Cinnamon cunt, you know what I mean, this, that, the other, horrible, just a shit scouse Jerry Cinnamon, this, that, the other. You get all of it, you know what I mean, but like,
you can't take it personal.
At first I did, do you know what I mean, and it really wound me up, and like, I was like, arguing with people, following people, saying, do you know this cunt? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Where's he from? Do you know what I mean? Like genuinely, like, once, not that I could have just said I'm as hard as a wet fart, you know what I mean? But I wanted to go and have a go.
Because you assume they're the rules, don't you? If you're going to do that to someone, they are the rules.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what you think, you're going to call. But then, like, thankfully, because my management, my girlfriend, my family, my mum and dad, it's a learning curve, and it's like, you can't, like...
These people only do it for a reaction anyway.
Exactly, and you know what, mate? It's like, when you reply to these people,
it's fueling them.
No, you're giving them the platform, right? Because people aren't looking at what they're saying to you, because they've got fucking my new followings, do you know what I mean? And no one's looking at their Twitter 24/7 to see what they're saying to people. People are looking at your Twitter because you've got all these great things going on, and somewhere in the riffraff is your reply to this fella.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, people could read your reply, then read what he'd said first, see what he said first, and if they're a knobhead, they might think that what he said carries a bit of weight.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you're bringing more attention to that when it just ignore it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, I've learned that now.
If it's come from someone personally, the attack is a different story.
If it comes from someone personally, you've got the resources to get in touch with that person and say, like, listen, I thought we were better than I thought we were mates. And there has been that as well in the past, do you know what I mean? And it's all been sorted out over the phone call because we're all adults, do you know what I mean? But these knobheads on Twitter who do things for a reaction and stuff like that.
And it's all fake accounts anyway.
Yeah, it's all bollocks. They're literally trolls. I've had someone, when I was first like getting all me great, sort of, went to America for the first time with Liverpool. I was on cloud nine. Next thing I get this account who's like calling himself a scouser on Twitter, giving me hell, and like I wasn't on Twitter, so I had to use Boss Knight's Twitter to reply to him, and I ended up getting into it with him, and in the end he replied and went, nah, I'm only messing, I was only doing it just to be a troll because no one else was. That's the weirdest one I've ever had, do you know what I mean? And it's like, why do you feel the need to, do you know what I mean? They get some sort of, like, your reply to them is the moment of their day. It's the moment of their day.
I respond with kindness all the time, and a lot of the time they say, I know what, I was just looking for the message, good luck in the future, and you just want to reply.
I just don't even reply. I don't get many nasty comments, and I'm grateful that I don't, but if I reply, that's just supply to them. I'm just giving them what they want. They want that negative reaction from me. Look at this knobhead. I won't even reply.
I reply just to say, like, look, you don't have to go about it that way. Look, you can be nice. If you want me to just message me, I'll message you back. I mean, that's why.
Yeah, the annoying thing is though, the flip side of it all. Not one of these people would say anything to your face.
No, it's always fake accounts.
But like, they obviously wouldn't say nothing to Jazz because Jazz fucking put them
dead out.
Yeah. Put them somewhere where they need to be. But you know what I mean. But even to me, like, you know what I mean, they wouldn't say nothing to me for whatever reason because they feel safer behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
And that's what I've sort of started to write about stuff like that in my own music, in my album. You know what I mean. Songs like "Stop Living Blind." That's about rejecting all these fucking outlets that are showing you the wrong way, basically, you know what I mean? And find your own way, you know what I mean? Make your own mind up, do you know what I mean? Don't let anyone tell you how it is. Find out how it is, go out and live your life, do you know what I mean? And gain your own perspective. That's like...
Don't boss you. I've really enjoyed this.
I know, I have myself.
It's been it's just to hear your story, mate. It's fucking absolutely brilliant.
Nah, it's just...
Well,
I don't know how to take compliments. That's been
What's your plans, lad?
Yeah, well, obviously the album went down well. Like, writing about working class life, like and real life. Do you know what I mean? It seems to be something that's touched a lot of people and sort of resonated with them, which is a good thing because it's the only fucking thing I know how to. The only way I know how to write. Do you know what I mean?
That's what you know, innit?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
exactly. And so for me, until I can get a green light to play gigs, it's just more about the album, really. Like, you know, get some songs lit, you know.
Have you used this time to be creative and
get
your head down, really? And
I think the second album, like, to be fair, I wasn't gonna like give too much on the second album on the concepts of it or nothing, but I have enjoyed this myself. Do you know what I mean? And so the second album, I'm thinking it might not even go like that way, but what I'm thinking is it's gonna be like the concept of like moments in a mad world. Do you know what I mean? And like basically see this last, because the album came out, my first album came out sort of in the middle of it all, come out in August. Do you know what I mean? But it's my second album. I've been writing a little bit before it come out, and like obviously after all this and up to now, I'm still writing songs now. So I think it's just gonna be like the eyes of, you know, well, this whole situation that we've lived through the eyes of different people. And I'm not basically, you know, I'm trying to put myself into this, you know, the feet of plenty of different people and tell the stories. You know what I mean? It's a lot of like writing in third person. So making up a character of someone, for example, called Paul. Do you know what I mean? And I'm writing about like Paul's 20 years of age. You know what I mean? What like the things that he's feeling at the moment in time, what he's going through is a lot different to what someone who's 55 is feeling. And what someone, yeah, exactly. So I'm just I'm open that, like, you know, there's that it sits as well as, you know, as the first one did. Do you know what I mean? If not a little bit better, but the thing is with me, I don't play with a band or nothing like that, and because I haven't had no live gigs, I haven't really been able to try and play any of the new tunes for people.
Yeah,
so
try it out.
I don't know how any of them are gonna sit, really. You know what I mean? Like, but
just another little.
Great. Yeah. I'll be listening because I won't be listening to the old stuff from a blue, aren't I?
Yeah, I did say, I was thinking to myself, I know jazz is a blue, and I'd try and keep it away from the football side of things, but we weren't really talking about football.
No.
We were talking about the culture of, and all that culture that like goes on amongst Liverpool fans. Beside me singing on the stage and people coming to see that, it's exactly the same as, I know I've got one of my very best mates who's like, he supports me through like probably one of the most out of anyone for my own music. Do you know what I mean? Like the album stuff. He's the bitterest blue you will ever know. Like he won't wear red. He won't have any red in his house. Like no, like seriously, like blue Father Christmas, blue, like everything like that. Like, but he's a boss lad. Do you know what I mean? And like he goes to all the Everton games and stuff like that. So we live pretty similar lives, but we just fucking hate each other when it comes to our footy teams. Do you know what I mean?
I always think that, Jay, we're red or blue, aren't we? In Liverpool, you're red or you're blue, but we're Scousers first.
Yeah, exactly, lad. Like, I mean, on the day that Liverpool are playing Everton, or on the day that Liverpool and on the day that Everton are playing, during those 90 minutes, do you know what I mean? We're completely different people. But like, in terms of what we're doing, but like, you know what I mean? Like, how many people have like got like brothers that are reds and brothers that are blues, like, or like Mars that are blues and Dars that are reds? Do you know what I mean? And like shit like that. It's just, you're all in, like, it doesn't mean that you live your life any different other than that 90 minutes.
It's got a bit of a mad reputation, hasn't it? Because you speak to people who Glasgow and Rangers, we're not like them, are they? But people think that it's crazy. People, it's not.
That's down to religion, isn't it?
Just an afternoon, isn't it? One afternoon.
Yeah, that's down to religion and like even in some aspects Irish history and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's and
that gets a bit more complicated, doesn't it?
There was a bit of that years ago, but now Liverpool's not. No one, you know, kids today don't like saying,
people don't associate Liverpool and religion anymore.
No. It did used to be like Liverpool by nature is actually a Protestant club and Everton is a Catholic club.
But then
Celtic,
isn't it?
Yeah, they're affiliated with Sarrow.
Yeah, it's crazy, but like there is the Celtic fans who love Liverpool, the Celtic fans who love Everton hate Liverpool.
Well, I think more Liverpool fans are drawn to Celtic, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? But
then Rangers fans, there's a lot of Rangers fans with a massive soft spot for Liverpool as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, you know, that's the footballing mill. But like outside of that, we are all like the same people. And like, I'm the biggest thing that I was happy with the album was the amount of blues that actually got into it. Do you know what I mean? I like put. Like, because there are people who are that way inclined who think, oh, he's a cultist. Do you know what I mean? He's a red cultist. He leads all these cults of whopper Liverpool fans all over the world.
You like broadening now, aren't you?
But like, you know, I've always written music. I've told you at the start of the podcast, I was playing in a band, you know what I mean? And I've always written songs all the time that I was living that life and going out and doing things. You know, I was writing songs about what the things that Common People, which was my last single before the album came out. That's specifically about that match bubble that I was in and going out and giving the establishments a big two fingers and going out and enjoying myself and causing mayhem every weekend on buses and trains and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just like that was a little part of my life that was in the album.
As well as travelling with Liverpool, Jay, you also taking in this experience and putting it into your music.
Yeah. It's about like, you know, like travelling with Liverpool, like only an hour and a half of the day is playing Liverpool songs, do you know what I mean? So I'm going to all these places and like I'm meeting all these people, and because I'm working there at the same time, obviously like the people who work in the industry over there are on hand in the venues and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you meet people there and you talk to them, and you know, you spend like eight I went to Qatar and met people from all over the world, do you know what I mean, who were part of this production for this massive company and you're talking to like roadies, stage managers, tour managers.
So different walks of life in different countries.
But,
so you see like...
But like you're not talking about your work when you sat there having your dinner with them, are you? You know what I mean? Because you're working together all day. So you're like, oh, you know, have you got kids? You know what I mean? Have you? Yeah. And like these are all like before like all the Liverpool stuff really took off, I went to South America for 5 weeks with my mates on like a long holiday. You know, like to just like see that side of the world. And like gained a lot of like that's like the Wild West out there, mate. You've been to Thailand.
Where did you go?
We went to Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay.
You realise how lucky we are, don't
you? Like that's the thing, Jazz. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking. We were in Medellin, and fucking. My mate was a minge bag. He booked this apartment for like £7 in the middle of like the biggest ghetto in Medellin. and it was like, there was like gang members sat outside the lecky box, all tattooed to the face and that outside the entrance to the gaff. And the taxi driver was saying to us, you can't get out here, you know what I mean? You aren't safe. And he was like, I'll show you something. Took us around the corner. It was like, there was a woman walking down in a bin bag. Do you know what I mean?
Really? Like, where was this?
Colombia in Medellin. It was mad. And then like we done a favela tour in Rio, and you look at how people live. Do you know what I mean? And you like, you know what I mean? You say walking around in shit. There's literally shit all over the floors. Do you know what I mean? Like,
so you've seen like the really low end of their society.
Walking around with AK-47s on the street.
Really, lads? Yeah.
Playing footy. It's fucking nuts. Yeah. It's bananas. Do you know what I mean? But like, and then you could like. It was amazing stuff, but like all that. So I'm not trying to say, oh, it was only 5 weeks. You know what I mean? I didn't live there with them and shit like that.
No, but you get into like we say when these fella with the tattoos with the white vest on.
Yeah, it's like
wow. Do you know what I mean?
It's mad, and like that's also like that was a big eye opener for me because I was about 23 at the time. Do you know what I mean? And it really that's an age where you're starting to start. You're growing up. You're turning into a man. And like, you know, I can remember being in like Unai in Bolivia, and like that's where all the salt deserts are. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And walking around, just being there was like 2 restaurants in the old like this town was like a deserted town. People only go there for a tour of a salt desert. Do you know what I mean? So there's fuck all there, and like there's an army barracks and like a couple of little restaurants. We were walking around trying to find a couple of pints. Do you know what I mean? Other than in this hotel, and. Like just like walking, there's this kid sat there. Like he must have been about 6 on a Friday night or Saturday night, whatever night it was. And he sat there on like the road with like a stick, fucking some sort of ball like that was made. Do you know what I mean? And like this, it was like a plastic phone that played like a ringtone over and over again.
Yeah.
And he just sat there on his own, just like knocking this stick in between his legs. Do you know what I mean? So we were like, and I felt so sorry for him, you know what I mean? Because I was just like, this.
Well, like he'd lost it a little bit.
It was just like, no, I was just sat there and I was thinking, fucking hell, like the child of that, you know what I mean? I was a 6-year-old, I was in the street with all my mates. I had all sorts of cousins, brothers and sisters. I had a bike, I had a fucking football, I had, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, but he didn't know any difference.
So all these things that taught your appreciation and gratitude.
And I was just like, I went over to him and like, we were like, do you want a piece of, we had pizza, carrying it back, do you want a piece of pizza? And he was fucking petrified, like, you know what I mean? Because we were offering him a piece of pizza and like, do you know what I mean?
I went to India one time, Gay. It's a quick story. And I went for a walk late at night and there was a woman, the site we were boxing on, the Commonwealth Games, it still weren't done. So there were people who was still laying bricks and stuff on the site. And there was a woman, she was laying bricks with a baby, newborn baby in her arms. She was sitting on the floor, laying brick. that was her job, do you know what I mean? And when I came home, seen the lads sitting with the lads in the corner, what are you up to, lad? Nothing, lad, shit in it. And I thought, it's not. I got another perspective. It's not shit. We're so lucky.
Yeah, we're so lucky. India is probably, just before the lockdown, I went to Delhi with Liverpool to do a little gig there, and it was, must admit, like that is up there with, if not probably more so than South America, like in terms of like where parents are sending the kids to beg for money off and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's a mad world, and like the worst thing is in them places, it's like massive wealth next door to unbelievably.
Well, that's what you'll probably find, isn't it?
Yeah.
But boys, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Oh,
and I really enjoyed that, you know.
I enjoyed that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was brilliant, mate. Nice one.
No, thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming, Jamie. Absolute pleasure.
I'm sorry you didn't get to talk more. Like
well, no, that's the idea. It's about you.
But yeah, no, honestly.
No one's there, us, Stu.
Thank you for your time, Jerry. Appreciate it, and I look forward to the future for you. And
yourself, Jazz, and you, John. Obviously, you know what I mean.
Do you have a social media that we can catch you on?
Yeah, I think my Instagram's Jamie Webb.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, put it in the description. Yeah, I think it's Jamie Webster 94 on Twitter, and I don't know if it's Jamie Webster official on Insta. I don't know. I'm sorry. Cool. I'll think of it.
And you got a gig coming up, haven't you?
Yeah, thankfully, like one little moment of light before we end it. You know what I mean? There's a socially distanced gig on Saturday in Hangar 34. Well, two shows, 200 people each, all socially distanced, full band, live music. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a scran to have a pint. It's it's a positive sign that things are looking up. And I know I went to see another band play there last weekend just to see what it was like, and it was fucking amazing. The Lathams, they were called, and yeah, they're gonna go on to big things as well. A few lads from Wigan, but honestly, yeah, I just can't, like, seeing that was just giving me the itch to get back out there and to
finish lines.
Even though it's not what we all want, where it's those fucking self-made tears and sweat coming off the ceilings. You know what I mean? It's pardon me, but it's a taste of real life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't wait to have it. And yeah, to anyone who's got tickets, you know, and it's just one last word to anyone who might be watching this, who supported me through any of that I've spoke about today. I just want to say thank you very much. You know, it means the world to me. I wouldn't be here without this.
Brilliant. Nice one, Jamie.
Thank you for your time.
Cheers.
Wrapped.
Next time on the How Are We Famalam podcast, we'll be speaking to Frankie Allen and his son Will.
I mean, a lot of these places, you know, the people at this sort of rough area wouldn't like to live there. If you live there, nobody bothers you. Nobody gives you a bad time. And if you're on your own, if you live alone, I've always lived alone. If you're on your own, they're great places. If you're kind of like bored, go out at 2 a.m. Kebab shop's still open. The shop's still open. You can speak to people. People are walking the streets. You know, like 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll see someone eating.
Your wildlife about
I've seen people in Kensington eating an ice cream at 4 in the morning. You know, flip flops on. And there's all kinds of play from, it's like dead cosmopolitan, walking down the street. And I used to walk down, and you would have thought you're in Mexico. You know, you saw all the people were there. A lot of people used to come out at night.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't see them in the daytime because they weren't strictly legal, you know what I mean? So they'd come out at night and they'd just walk to the corner, you know, with their eyes all over the fucking head in case then walk back, you know. And the most you'd get out of them, you know, I used to say to them, how you doing? They go, okay, you know, and like sneak back in and stay. Probably, and fellas who are on the toes, you know, fellas who the police are looking for, you get a lot of them living there and they're just living with the birds. And with them, all you see, you'd never see them. Even at night, you know, because the warrants are out for them. So all you'd see every now and then, especially in the summer, you just see the window go like that, and they're looking out the window like that, you know. But if you let onto them, they go pull the window back and go back in, scared to go out. Yeah.
Faster Car Finance provide a smooth, hassle-free way for you to apply for car finance and to get the vehicle of your choice. Whether you have good or bad credit, no deposit is required. A decision is reached within minutes, and one of our dedicated finance advisors will be available to discuss your requirements. Apply now at www.fastercarfinance.co.uk.